In its 11th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
You know, it's live from Harlem in New York City. It's me. Guess what? I'm Alex Bennett, and this is the Ramble. Ladies and gentlemen, on the screen you see Mike Chisholm, and below him is the former...
I should always be above him. What kind of billing is below
the
Mike
executive
Chisholm?
Producer of the David Letterman shows, Late Night and
Late Show.
Late Show. I never can say this two at the same time. I get mixed
Well,
up.
it's interesting that I just read this, and I never knew it, that when Colbert took over, he added a the.
Yep.
So with Letterman, it was always a Late Show with David Letterman. There was no the. And Colbert added a the. I didn't know that until this week.
I guess it worked better on the marquee or something because it's above the is above the...
Everybody called it The Late Show.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like that Colbert did here in New York is the marquee. He put a whole sign that went down the side of the building said Colbert.
Yeah, it's a little bold.
You know, I mean, David what?
I'm trying to run down a rumor. Apparently,
way.
Worldwide Pants still owns the copyright of Late Show, and they lease it to CBS. And I'm trying to figure out if that's the case, or when they added if that is still the case or not.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Morty, about the title Late Show. When first time I was in New York, okay, which was when he sold me cable, and Morty sold me cable. And by the way, that's Mike Chisholm I'm talking to now. There was a show that went on after all the newscast, and it was called The Late Show, and it was a movie. They played a movie.
Yes.
And then after the movie, they had The Late Late Show.
That's right.
So I don't know. Could Dave possibly own that title?
Well, I'll take a little credit here.
Mm-hmm.
When we I grew up, as you know, in New York. And I remember The Late Show and The Late Late Show.
Yeah.
So when it came time to come up with a name for the new show when we moved to CBS, I had suggested The Late Show, and then when we got the 12:30 slot, I had suggested The Late Late Show. Just remembering those days of the movie blocks. And my prediction now is, with Colbert leaving and Paramount, stepping up, and I think David Ellison is quite the cinephile.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to bring back a movie block.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to give up. I don't think they're going to give up that revenue to the stations.
I don't think so either.
Paramount has an incredible library, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And I would think they want to monetize everything they have.
Well, they might run some of their shows that they run on CBS late night,
Yep.
which they used to do at one point. But
if they curate it properly, it could be a winner.
Well, it's certainly cheaper than doing Colbert. I mean, I don't know how much Colbert is costing them now, because they claim they were losing millions a year.
Colbert is I think they're definitely exaggerating the losses. I think Colbert costs about $100 million a year to do, and they pay him between 10 and 15 a year. And I heard this from a very good source who was a former chairman of the network, so you could do the math.
Yeah.
And they say that it's absolutely impossible that they're losing the kind of money that they say they're losing.
Okay, so you say they spend about $100 million a year on that show?
$100 million on production, and between 10 and 15 to pay him.
Netflix poops that much money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the late night show used to be considered the cheap show, right? That's the whole reason why it started in the first place.
It still could be a cheap show. That's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
If they truly had in mind keeping that show, and this is the only argument I have that's against the fact that it's all political. because I do think it is mostly political. Why wouldn't they say, look, and he has more writers than any of the late night guys.
Yeah.
And why don't they just say, all right, cut your writing staff by 75%.
Yep.
He has like at least 18, 20 writers on that show.
Oh God.
Yeah, he's got I could be wrong, but I know he has a tremendous writing staff. Mike, you might
How
know
big was
better.
your writing staff?
I think we had probably the height that I was there, 12 or 13.
I think it stayed at that pretty much the whole run for the most part.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's considerably lower than Colbert.
Yes, very
Yeah.
much so.
Let me ask you this though: how much is that theater costing them a year?
I don't know the numbers. I did look up yesterday out of curiosity. I remember that CBS paid very little for the theater and the office.
Well, they
building.
owned it, right?
No, they didn't own
They
it.
didn't?
They used to own it when it was Studio 50, and then Studio 50 was renamed the Ed Sullivan Theater. And after the Sullivan run, they had sold it.
Oh, okay.
Originally, I think it was Reeves Teletape that bought it. Then they sold it to this old, crazy hippie guy that I think was living in the theater. They called him the captain or the wizard. I remember going there for the first time, and I was a page at that theater. And I remember going there the first time when we wanted to see the theater, and he had to approve. He owned it, and it was a mess. It was a real mess. It was always rat infested. Probably still is. It was when we were there.
You had about a couple of inches of water all over on the floors, and
Yep. It was a real mess. And CBS at the time, so this is 1992, 91, 92, I guess. They paid $4 million for the theater and the office building.
so they bought it back.
They bought it back
Okay.
from the wizard or the captain or whatever the hell he called himself.
Yeah, because you
And-
wouldn't want to do that much work on something you don't own.
No,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. And, and look, part of Colbert's demise, I think, was, it was a perfectly well renovated theater. I mean, and up until the day I left, and I would assume the whole run, it was very well cared for. Colbert came in and they redid the roof, and they did that, they opened up the upper balcony that we had closed off, and, they built a very elaborate set.
Yeah, a lot of technology. A lot of technology.
Yeah, a lot of technology, and that's expensive. You need people to run that
But
stuff.
you don't think CBS then is losing? They said tens of millions a year.
40
on
is
that
the
show.
number they said.
40
40
million?
was the number they said for all of late night.
Oh, for all of late night.
Yes.
Oh, well, that's a little different.
40 million was the number they used for 11:30 and 12:30.
Well, I don't know how that current late show, or what they changed the name of it. I can't remember what the name is.
After
now.
midnight, yeah.
After
You know
midnight.
Taylor
something?
Tomlinson.
It was so stupid of them to put that show in there.
Yep.
Because what they wanted was a show with no writers, and that show, every word was written for every one of the comedians on the panel, as well as for Taylor, who was very funny. And most of the comedians they used were funny people, but they had every line scripted. You could see them referring to the cards on their podium.
Yep.
It used to make me crazy. I wrote Judy Marmel, who was the executive in charge, who was Taylor's manager. When it first premiered, I said, "Here are my notes," because I like her and she's a nice woman. She never answered me back. She never acknowledged when I sent her the notes.
Well, what do
But I
you
said,
know? What do you know?
Exactly. What the fuck do I know? So I said, you got to get them off of that. I said, plus, what do you need writers on that show for? It should be let them ad lib. If they're funny,
Yep.
get the funniest people and let them go.
Well, if you're bringing out a bunch of comics, which used to be my thing,
Yeah.
I used to load my studio with like 5 comics at a time. You just let them go. They're there to
Yep.
work for you, not for you to,
Look, I'm a disciple of the Tomorrow Show. When we used to have one guest the show, we used to prepare Tom appropriately, but we had a tiny staff. We had maybe 1 or 2 researchers, 1 or 2 bookers.
I didn't know
one or
you. I
two-
didn't know you worked that show.
Oh yeah, I think my credit at the time was associate producer, and then I became a talent produced. I don't remember, but it was the first network show I ever did.
Yeah.
And I adored that show, and I adored him. We had
I
free
would
reign.
say, would you agree with me on that? I think Tom Snyder, one-on-one, was the best communicator with the television audience that I've ever seen. If you watch him, he never takes his eyes off the camera.
No doubt about it. He knew how to create an intimacy.
Yeah.
He had all the right tools in place.
Some people say that Johnny, on the other hand, conversely, was the opposite, that he never looked at the camera or the audience. He looked to either side.
But he also was smart because he used looking at the camera as a device, and that's the difference between a comedian and a broadcaster.
Well, what I'm saying is I think, felt that he didn't want the public the audience out there to feel an intimacy with him. They wanted to look at him and appreciate him. It was a different kind of way of sucking the audience in.
Yes, yeah. To a comedic effect mostly.
Yeah.
He would use that close up when he had to,
But
when the
Snyder,
animal, when the monkey peed on his shoulder, that's when he would look at the camera and give a take, you know?
Yeah, the nod and the wink was a very powerful thing that Johnny used. For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think I say to my wife all the time when we're watching old Lettermans, I said, admit
Marjorie?
it. Marjorie. That's
Oh,
right.
okay.
You remember. Oh, Marjorie. Yeah. I told her, I said, he's endlessly entertaining. I said, he doesn't even need a guest. He could just sit there and talk.
Yeah.
And I said, that's what broadcasting is about. That's what I wanted to do in my life and how I tried to achieve it. That I wasn't just doing an interview show or whatever, that I was doing a program. In fact, I use the term program all the time. I never use the term show because Jack Bennett called his show a program.
Really? No kidding.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Actually,
because I remember we used to call on the Tomorrow Show, we used to call it the broadcast.
Yeah.
It was never a program or a show.
Mm-hmm.
It was, all right, we got to do the broadcast tonight.
Well, I watch people on MSNBC and they go on today's show, and I'm going, show? Are you going to tap dance at any point?
I know.
Here?
I hate that they call news shows shows. That's wrong.
Didn't Tom call on the Late Late Show? Didn't he call it a simulcast? And I love that because of the radio and he made up a term. I forget what it was, but he did definitely call it a simulcast a lot. I love that.
Or the colorcast or
colorcast. I love that word too. I dug that. Morty, in a previous conversation that we had here, and I want to ask you about this. So you talked about the energy that you guys felt when you were leaving late night and moving over to CBS. We referred to it, the morning show, the energy of knowing you were canceled, and so you could kind of take off the guardrails and things. We've certainly seen it in other places too. I mean, of course, I look at Conan's last 2 weeks of Tonight shows, and they were fantastic. We've seen that when the end is coming, and how things get better, and there's more of a the circus type atmosphere and things. Colbert's got it for about 10 months now, and then you look at those two events that I just talked about. Bill Carter wrote books on both of those two. Do you think that this next 10 months it could be the circus time that we have seen in those two other instances? Are we seeing another emergence of that kind of excitement in late night?
I certainly hope so.
Me too.
It could save the genre. I do, and I think Colbert is absolutely more than capable of doing it. I think what you got to understand is there's going to be new management, so let's see how lenient they are, and then every one of those people have to get a job. So let's see how fearless they are
for that. Yeah. Let me ask you this question. Years ago, Pat Sajak got a show, late night show on CBS, before Letterman had one. Mm-hmm. And I had interviewed Sajak in San Francisco years earlier with he and Vanna. They came into the studio. And I was so surprised at how snarky he was and how edgy he was when he was with me. And so when he got that show, I said, he's got a good shot. Because if he brings that snarkiness and that attitude to that show, he's going to succeed. Mm-hmm. And he went to CBS and he played it nice. He blew it.
I knew him only as a guest, and he was always a good guest. He always came on, and he always scored as a guest. And I saw the snarkiness once, personally. It must have been about, let's see, my daughter's now 23. At the time, she was probably, it was probably 10, 13 years ago. I was at a Dodger game, and I ran into Sajak. And his first thing that he said to me was, "Oh, you're still in the business?" and I was just like, "Well, fuck you," It's like Pat Sajak.
Well, hold on, Morty. You didn't just know him as a guest. You also knew him as a punchline, and perhaps that might be a little receipt for that as well.
Yes, I agree with you. But I don't think Letterman ever made too much fun of Pat Sajak because he kind of respected the guy.
Yeah.
I just think Sajak,
There were times where the Sajak show was definitely referenced, though. And
Sajak had more ability than he ever showed.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, yeah.
And what he opted for is, I'm going to be the good guy. I'm going to make money in this business. I'm going to be a success in this business. Rather than say, I mean, let's face it, Dave was a smash because he threw old caution to the wind because he had been in the worst possible place. I mean, when you lose a morning show on NBC, you figure, hey, I'm through. It's over with,
Yep.
And when
but he also thought he was through 10 years into the run of late night.
Shecky used to talk to me about how unhappy Dave was, And Meryl, when I've interviewed Meryl, she said, I'll talk to her about that period in her life. She goes, "Oh, that's old boyfriend stuff," And she said to me, I had to leave him because I had to go home with him every night, and he was miserable about a show I had helped write.
Yeah, but you know something, in his defense, and I've said this to Mike many times.
We're talking about Merrill Marco, folks, for those who
No,
don't know.
in Letterman's defense.
Yeah.
Letterman never got pissed at the staff. He would never say, "Oh, this joke sucked," and Steve O'Donnell wrote it. What the fuck is he doing? He would never do that. He would always get pissed at himself. Yeah. And that was a lot of times for me more painful to see a guy like that who had everything going for him, just being miserable.
But my experience, I was outside the studio in the hallway, right? When the show was over, because I was waiting for Shecky or whatever. And out comes Letterman, and he went into a dressing room that was right next to the studio. I don't know, I think that was his ancillary dressing room.
Yes.
And he looked so miserable.
Oh yeah.
He looked like the world had come to an end when he walked out.
Yep.
And I went, is that what making it in show business is all about?
And guess who the first guy that had to knock on that door and have him open it? Me.
Oh God.
He
used to throw things around too, didn't he?
On occasion he did. Yep.
So you were good at dodging. That's why you lasted so long.
Exactly.
I want to marry the last two things that we talked about, though. Like, one of the things, I don't know who it was that I talked to now. I can't pull it from my brain. Talking about Pat Sajak, and then also Chevy Chase. Both of them. One of the things that I've heard about both of them is that when they took the gig of the late night host, they didn't come in with the tireless, backbreaking work ethic that the people who have survived and did this, like Conan, Letterman, and so many of the other ones that have survived came in. They came in, they thought it was kind of almost a cushy gig. And I don't quite want to make that definition, but that was that person's, that was their take on Pat, is that he came in and he did not come in with, geared up for war constant, the way that some of these other war horses in late night brought to it. So it might have been an attitude thing as well.
I'm going to go back.
How much preparation was he used to? He'd be given a card. A penny saved is a penny earned. Okay, Vanna.
I'll tell you something.
There wasn't much preparation on Pat Sajak's resume.
Let's go back for a second before Carson even. My favorite at the time when I was growing up, and somebody who I kind of based what I did on, was Parr. Parr was amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, You know, it was,
Yep.
Yeah.
and I learned that intimacy was important. That if you were really totally honest with your audience in a brutal way, that they would like you.
Yeah, yeah. I was watching an interview that he did just a couple of weeks ago with Judy Garland,
Oh God, yeah,
and it was amazing to see how he handled her, how this fragile human being, on a late night talk show, and he was so empathetic and handled it so wonderfully. He was incredible. He was incredible and funny.
So what are you
And
doing with
funny.
your life these days?
Uh,
Uh,
Trying to sell some real estate.
Yeah, you went into real estate. My father was a real estate broker.
I didn't know that. That's funny. I enjoy it. It's you age out of television. When I turned
Well, my
65,
father was a musician, and then
Uh-huh.
then violins kind of went to the bottom of the musical barrel, and so he had to find some way to support his young son and his wife, and he went into real estate. You know,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, when I hit 65, it was kind of like, all right, I'm going up for jobs. One, they're paying a hell of a lot less than I was used to making. Two, they were looking for, people who had younger ideas and younger point of view than I did.
Yeah.
What they imagined I did. But it was interesting because in those days, my kids were young. I was 48 when my first child was born. So, well into my 60s and now 70s, I'm pretty attuned with what the youth and what the demographic that they desire is seeking.
Yeah.
More than I ever was as a bachelor running around New York trying to pick up women.
Well, you were a world class bachelor.
I tried my best. I tried.
What was the first job you did after you left Letterman? You went somewhere else, and I'm trying to remember.
I had two deals, two overall deals. One I had at ABC, which was given to me by Mike Ovitz. When I got fired from the Letterman show, I remember he fired me in his office. I walked back to my office, and the first call I made was to Mike Ovitz,
Yeah.
who at the time was running Disney.
Yeah, one of the biggest
And-
agents, by the way, in the business as well. But he was running Disney. Yeah.
And he said to me, good, we got you out of there. He goes, now you could become the Lorne Michaels of ABC. And I said, okay, I'll take it. Simultaneously, my girlfriend became the president of ABC Entertainment, Jamie Tarsus. May she rest in peace.
Yeah.
So Ovitz said, I got to wait a while before I give you the deal because it's going to reek of, favoritism. So I said, all right. So I waited a good year before I got my deal at ABC because they didn't want it to look. And even then, even though it was Ovitz who predated Jamie and gave me the deal, everybody wrote that it was because my girlfriend ran the network that I got the deal. So I had a 2-year deal there, which paid very handsomely, and I did 3 pilots in those 2 years. I got 1 show on the air, so I had a pretty 3 or 4 shows, I don't know, but I had a pretty good track record for a non-writing producer. But it was just too much of a hassle having me and my girlfriend together.
Were you still a girlfriend? Was she still your girlfriend to the end?
Yes.
Because I would say she wasn't, if you broke up during that time, that period would have had to be terrible at work.
Towards the very tail end, we had broken up, but it was very much at the end of it.
Yeah.
Because I remember how awkward it was that I had to pitch her shows. Was not fun.
Yeah.
But then I left and I had a 3-year deal at Carsey and Werner,
Oh, okay.
which I did a few shows there, and
Yeah.
then I went. Then after 5 years of deals, I kind of went on my own and took whatever came my way. But to answer your question directly, now that you mention it, the first gig I took after Letterman, the very first gig, was I was offered to produce the Chris Rock show on HBO. And at the time, Chris Rock was a respectable comedian, but I always looked at it as a bit of a step down coming from Letterman to be doing Chris Rock.
Yeah.
He wasn't the Chris Rock he is today or has been for the last 20 years.
You're right.
So I passed on that, but they asked me to be a consulting producer. So I consulted on that, and Al Gurney did the pilot, and a lot of the old writers. I brought in Louis C.K., who didn't want to do it, and I said, Louis, this is going to be a great job for you. So I brought Louis in as a writer.
Great writer. Great writer.
Steve O'Donnell was already on the staff, and he was great. So it was a lot of the people I was used to working with, and I basically worked with Chris on how to do interviews and all that stuff.
Right.
And he didn't listen to me very much, but he was great.
Yeah.
He was great.
Yeah,
I adore him.
It's a shame they don't listen to you because you're one of the better minds that has worked this business.
Thank you, Alex. It's very nice of you to say.
I always think of you fondly as well. And
As I do you.
Shecky always used to talk about you,
Yeah,
and
Shecky was something else.
Yeah.
It's funny, you mentioned Shecky before, and I was thinking, Letterman never got Shecky.
Yep.
It's one of the great regrets that I have
Never
to this
got
day
Shecky?
because he never understood what Shecky was about.
Yep.
He knew that there was a savant there and that he was brilliant at finding whatever the writers wanted him to find. But he would always say to me, what does Shecky do?
Yeah.
What does Shecky do?
He wore the Elvis outfit for crying out loud.
Exactly right. Exactly. I have a photo of that too.
Yeah, exactly.
Mark Malkoff and I had a phone conversation yesterday about this exact subject. Mark Malkoff is the host of the Carson podcast and now Inside Late Night for LateNighter.com. He's the host of that podcast as well. And he and I were talking about some of the things that are going on, and Shecky's name came up. He's got a 3-hour interview with Shecky that from years ago that we're trying to figure out how to repackage and put out. But we talked about this, and one of the things that Shecky said to him, and he said it to me, and I'm sure, Alex, you'll remember this as well. One of the things that Shecky said, the reason that he never really created any ripples in the water the way that some other staffers unfortunately did was because he knew how to stay in his lane.
Yeah.
And so all the things that he was into, and he was very into them, and we all saw that at the funeral.
Friend Richard Scheckman. Yeah.
Rick Scheckman, our boy. Letterman podcast would not exist without him. He was my North Star until he passed. And as far as I'm concerned, if I have any credibility at all, it was given to me by him. He helped me so much, and I love him so much. I think about him every day.
You know how many years he and I were friends?
Oh, you guys were best friends, and I mean, yeah,
5 years.
Yep. And the thing that Rick said is that he knew how to stay in his lane.
Yeah.
So yeah, the people there didn't know necessarily, the superior cinephile that he was, the expert level of the things that he was.
He had so many other things going on, his licensings and his businesses, that he never asked for crazy raises. He would get a standard raise whenever a standard raise came about.
Or title bumps.
You know what
bumps.
I always sense from Shecky? He just enjoyed being part of that family.
He loved being part of any family. It's absolutely the truth. And you know something? He was in a consultancy role. He was extremely valuable. He had an encyclopedic knowledge.
Yeah.
He had an encyclopedic knowledge of every guest's name, of everybody who did anything on that show.
Mm-hmm.
When we used to do things like stupid pet tricks, I wouldn't pick the pets unless Shecky was with me in the control room during the rehearsal. I would always say, can you get Shecky down here, please? And Shecky would always go, do this one first, this one second, this one third. I go, okay. He would always order them. He would always be the guy that would say, use this one. I promise you it'll work. I never did it without Shecky all those years. It's funny.
Do you feel that at any point Shecky really knew the full breadth of his talent?
Yes,
He
did. He did.
Yeah.
He did. But he was not a braggart. He as Mike said, he stayed in his lane. He never made waves. He was quiet. He never looked to be friends with Dave. He never,
He just wanted to sit in his office with his tapes and his old films and
I would always say to Letterman, believe me, you don't know what Shecky does.
You know something? For a guy who didn't understand what Shecky did, he was at the end, I think, the third longest employee.
Oh yeah.
At Letterman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was up there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, listen, it's so great to talk to you, Morty. I hope
anytime, Alex.
We should do this again. In fact, bring Mike into it, and let's do a mashup again. I love this. I just
I love you
absolutely
both, so let me know whenever.
That is Robert Morton, ladies and gentlemen, former executive producer of Late Night with David Letterman and then The Late Show with David Letterman. And Mike Chisholm, who is the current producer of the Letterman podcast, I guess, executive producer of the Letterman podcast.
I wear many hats.
And me, I'm Alex Bennett. I used to be a big shot, so, you know. Anyway, thanks, Morty. Thanks, Mike. Nice
Thank you,
talking
Alex.
to you
Thanks,
guys.
Alex, as always.
Bye-bye.
Now, in its 11th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Oh, I hope you enjoyed that, by the way. I hope you did. That was one of the best interviews we've had in a couple of years. I mean, that's an individual who, and thanks, of course, to our good friend Mike Chisholm for that. But Morty was a very big part of that whole Letterman era, and he just did a great job of it, you know, over the years. Hold on a second, I got to sneeze here. Hold on. Oh, wow. I got into a sneezing jag. You know what I did while that was all on? You say, what do I do when these interviews are being played? I go out and I do stuff, okay? And one of the things that I did was I got this little nose clipper, you know, one of these things you get and they rotate, right? You know? They go around and around and around and around, right? And I really thought, they advertised a new one. It looked good, but it was the same as all the others. Do you know what I'm talking about? You press the button. It's got this little thing on top, and then it whirls around. You put it in the nose, and you kind of whirl it around in your nose, and you kind of hope that it's going to work. And quite frankly, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I've never got one that did work. In fact, here's Mark Thorner. Mark Thorner is here. I hope it's him, and not somebody saying that he's him. But Mark is, let's see here. Mark, are you there?
Yeah, I am. Hold on.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah.
Boy, that was great, Alex.
Yeah.
That was.
Let me just put you on here and center yourself. Put yourself a little more in the frame. You know? Yeah. Oh, that's good. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay, that's better. Yeah. Anyway, what were you saying?
That was a great interview. I really, really enjoyed that a lot.
Well, you know, I got to tell you, he knows where the bodies are buried.
Yeah.
You know. And if I don't know if you ever saw, did you ever see The Late Show, that movie they made on HBO?
Oh my God.
Morty was a big part of it.
There's so much. I wish I was there because, you know, I trained the editorial staff in Adobe software for at the Letterman show. Mm-hmm. And Larry Bud Melman was my grandmother's neighbor. Mm-hmm. And his eyeglasses came from my dad's optometric practice.
And do you know who his, I think, uncle was?
Oh, shoot.
Well, his name is Calvert DeForest.
Yeah, oh, yeah, we know. Yeah, that was the thing. It was like, wait a minute. Not the DeForest.
Well, first, let's say that in case you don't know who Calvert DeForest is, it's Larry Bud Melman.
Yeah.
Okay. And then later became, I don't know, I guess they just called him Larry Bud Melman when they went to CBS.
No, they called him by his real name, I think.
Calvert. Excuse me,
Yeah.
they called him Calvert DeForest. And his uncle was Lee DeForest, who invented the vacuum tube.
CRT, yeah. Which is like, and like I said, it was my neighbor, my grandmother's neighbor.
Not the CRT, the actual vacuum tube.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
Yeah.
now I do. Okay.
Yeah.
But it was just, like I said, and Letterman, I've been a fan from day one. I've said this before.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Anyway, let me just welcome here, first of all, Kevin, who I didn't think was going to be on tonight. Oh God! I tried to do this thing with my nose, and now the hairs are all cattywampus and itching me. Any of you ever buy these things, these little nose hair things that you put in your? You don't know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm talking about, Kevin?
What is it?
These are
what
all
is
my
it
nose
supposed
hairs.
to
They
do?
came out all the way down.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. You know what I'm talking about, Mark?
I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I have a couple.
Yeah, they don't work, do they?
Yeah.
They make a little noise like when they hit a hair in there, but then when you blow your nose to see if any hairs got loose, no, they didn't. You would have thought by now somebody would have invented a hair clipper that worked. So. Anyway.
Oh, is that what it's for?
What?
It's supposed to cut the hair.
Yeah, it's supposed to cut the hair.
Oh, okay.
I was going to bring it in here and show it to you guys.
I'm not going to ask what you used it for, Jeff.
Well, depends on what your girlfriends are.
Yeah. But anyway, but getting back to Morty was, he's history, he was in there for a big time with the Letterman show, and of course, the Late Show movie that they made, Morty is a very big part of it. He is the guy that went and, helped him get that whole gig at CBS. It was just, he's an interesting guy. And I got to tell you, it's a rumor. I only heard it as a rumor. But at a certain point, Letterman, when they met up somewhere, said to him, "The biggest mistake I ever made was by getting rid of you." Because he had no more loyal employee than this guy. This guy would have gone to the wall for him, So it's an interesting story. It's a fascinating story.
It's a great interview.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I enjoyed doing it. We'll have him back on again. I think I'll have to ask Mike Chisholm to try and arrange the whole situation again, because I like having Mike in on it, because he, doing that podcast, has learned a lot about the Letterman years and so on, even though he wasn't probably alive for a lot of them.
Right.
But I think he was, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he was probably a kid.
Yeah, kid. Anyway, so how's everything going with everybody? How are you down in Florida? Is it fine down there? Is it hot?
It's hot as blazes. It's humid, typical. And we just had this biblical thunderstorm.
Oh, okay.
Where,
Oddly enough, we had a biblical thunderstorm up here last night. And if you listen to it, I said to Marjorie, I said, tonight's a good night to build a monster. It was one of those kind of lightnings that went on and rumbling that was going on, and it was all really close, and it was constant. It was constant. It was constantly rumbling. Yeah. But so do you stay indoors when the weather's like that? I mean, there's no real reason to go out, is there?
no, I'm not stupid.
No.
I'm like,
Yeah. Well, Jeff moves to Florida during the winter months, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then
Right now I'm in Georgia. I mean,
you're in
wait a minute.
you're in
I'm in it. Oh, wait a minute. I got to tell you where I am, because I change my mind every 10 seconds. I'm in Maine.
Oh, well, that's a little different than Georgia.
Oh, north.
That's right.
You're in Maine. Where in Maine exactly?
If you go any further, you're in Canada.
Oh, okay. All right. But you also
We're right by the ocean.
didn't you say you had some property up there or something?
My wife and her sister own a property. It's a separate island with nothing really in there other than a little camp. No electricity, no gas, no anything.
Perfect.
So, but it's the kind of thing that they used to go for a couple of weeks in the summer. And my son, Andy, who you know, he just spent a week there fixing it up a little bit more.
Oh,
And
really? Okay.
yeah, and he loves it. He loves doing that kind of work himself and have nobody else tell him what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's nice. Okay, well, that's good. So that makes life terrific up there for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how long are you going to be up there for?
A couple of more days. I think Saturday, I think we're starting to drive home.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
we were going to take a big vacation, but now I think I got to change my whole plan because it turned out that we couldn't get a. See, what I want to do is if we're going to take a cruise, I want to get a cabin. You know, I want to get a cabin of sufficient size, something they call, I think, a suite. And the reason I want to, and Marjorie said, oh, we can, you know, if we can't get the suite, we can go just get a cabin. And I said, dear, if we just get a cabin, about the 5th day in, you're going to want to kill me. Okay?
That's what they mean by cabin fever.
That's what they mean by cabin fever. Have you been on a cruise like that, Mark?
The only cruise I went on was when I was 12 years old
Oh,
for
boy.
on a Cunard
Yeah.
ship that doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah. Well, so they had a thing called a brilliant suite, and so we said we'll take that. And so then she went to go for it. The travel agent, who's supposed to know everything, and she says it isn't available. And then when I went online, it just wasn't. It's just a brilliant suite, not available. Just it wasn't that they were all taken or anything.
Doesn't exist.
Right, but it was a good one because what you do is you get this little deck that you go out on yourself, and you know you have the special butlers coming to you and all that kind of crap. And I said the other way, you just wouldn't be happy. You'd walk the boat because you wouldn't want to stay in the cabin. And so I said this is not working right. Okay, so the woman found us another thing. And she could give us, but she could only give us a cabin. And the closest suite was $25,000. And I went, you know, I could do a lot of things with $25,000 and a lot more fun than sitting in a suite. The other suite was like $12,000. I said, fine, okay. So now we really are two people without a holiday, without a vacation, and I was looking forward to this, you know. So the travel agent, I don't know about travel agents. I don't get them. But I can't do this all myself, all right? And she initially had us going to Chicago in order to go to Athens. I went, what's that about? There's got to be, you know, I mean, if I look up flights leaving New York, there got to be flights going to Athens. She said, oh, well, there's one leaving Newark. Well, hey, you know, I don't mind Newark.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mind Newark. And, you know, how often are those planes going to crash into each other? You know, I mean, so we got that going, you know, so it's become a real pain in the ass. And now I want to go find a vacation to take, you know. And the reason I get a travel agent is she gets us wheelchairs everywhere, which we kind of like because she doesn't walk as well as she used to, and I certainly don't. And plus the fact it gets you through things pretty fast and efficiently, all right? So
You
she
can get
does.
them yourself. You know, when you get to the airport, you just go get one.
Well, no, but I can also, but you got to have somebody
them
there to
waiting for
wheel
you and all
you.
that stuff, yeah.
Somebody to wheel, yeah.
Yeah, they'll do that. I mean, they're all over the airports.
I
that
think
I've
you
seen.
can get it when you book a plane. You can say wheelchair. I want a wheelchair to pick me up, a wheelchair to leave me off. But the point is that that I just soon have a travel agent do that, and you know I realize they're taking a high price thing, so they get a percentage of it, you know, and all of that. But I understand that, it's not like we can't afford this stuff. It's not like we're looking for ways to spend our money, and we can't quite find a way to do it. Anybody want some of it?
I'll take some.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
You got my
I'll
address.
take your money.
Yeah, But so, what were we going to say, Mark? You look like you have a.
Oh, what about you? I remember when you and Marjorie went up to Vermont. You had a good time up there.
In Vermont.
Yeah. Years
We
ago.
had friends up in Vermont.
No more.
Yeah.
Yeah, they live up there. And the last time I was there, I was kind of mean and nasty because I had a doctor who I can't remember the medicine, gave me a medicine to help me. I think was it with my neuropathy? I can't remember, but I just got irritable as hell on this stuff. I just was not pleasant to be around. And so we've never been invited back since. And I blame my doctor.
Okay.
But anyway, we can probably go up there at the end of this year. But that was very nice going up there. Yeah, I like that a lot in Vermont, in Burlington.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a nice. In fact, I would love to live up there. But
I spent a summer up there in 1990
yeah,
with my adoptive mother, Alice. That was a lot of fun.
yeah.
Go swimming in Lake Champlain every afternoon.
Who was it that said that the longest summer they ever spent? What was the line? Longest summer I ever spent was a week in L.A. I think something like that. But anyway, so that's our vacation problem. So I don't know what to do. Anybody have suggestions? I mean, I'd go out to California, but
Got plenty of people out here.
yeah, I have more friends out there than I do here.
I'll drive you around in traffic. It doesn't bother me. I'm retired.
Yeah, you're retired. So, and we can go see. We can go see
Go to Monterey, go
Tom,
down to Big Sur.
see Tom Yamaguchi.
Only an hour away from here.
Yeah.
Half hour.
Visit Brian.
What?
Brian here. You could visit Brian, and he could drive you around.
Brian. He said he would drive me around. And what else? Oh yeah, and then I got Bubbles. Bubbles wants me to see him because he wants to take a Waymo with me. He's fascinated, but he has no technology love or anything like that. He's a complete,
So what's going to happen when they take away the dial-up for him? The AOL's taking away
I've
dial-up.
talked to him about that. You'll hear about it this week on tomorrow night.
See Bubbles hanging out his window with a piece of tin foil.
I think he can still get onto the internet, but do you really want to get onto the internet with dial-up? After it's.
I always liked that sound of dialing up. I don't know why.
Meep, bop, meep, bop.
Bing, ding, ding.
Yeah. I'll tell you
Felt
something.
like you were doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then one day they told me, we're giving you internet access, and we're giving you high-speed internet access, which at that time was not that high speed. But here it is. And I said, well, how do I sign on to it? They said, you don't. It's there all the time. And I had a hard time. Were you the same way, Mark? You look like you're going, yeah.
I was the test subject for residential ISDN in Manhattan.
Oh, really?
I had no idea. I just said, they're offering it, we're getting it. Next, and then it was like, oh, by the way, you're the first customer. I'm like, what?
ISDN wasn't that fast.
Listen, going from 56K, barely 56.
Yeah, you're right.
All of a sudden, I have 300, 150 and 150 working. Yeah, but that was the thing.
ISDN that fast? I always thought ISDN was down around 80.
No, well, but I was impressed. And then when I moved back to Brooklyn, I don't know if you remember Metrocom.
No, I don't.
Metrocom was the first wireless internet, and they had a deal with Earthlink to offer it.
Yeah.
And it was all line of sight. And I forgot what.
Do you remember
I think
who?
it
I may be wrong about this, but do you remember who owned Earthlink?
Oh my God, that was Sky. What's his name?
I believe it was Scientology.
It was Sky. What was his name? And he was a Scientologist. But
Okay.
they bought Pipeline. James Glick's, which I was. But the point is, I had this thing that was the size of a pack of cigarettes, and it was wireless high speed before anything else.
Yeah.
The problem was that the business model, they figured they were going to have like 500,000 users. No, it was more like take away a zero. It was more like 45,000. So I had this for about a year, and then it went away, and then I was back to crappy dial-up until I moved out of New York.
Wow.
And then
crappy dial-up is a way of putting it. But Bubbles, he won't. He's happy to go back to his little flip phone. They still give them out to people who want them.
Yeah.
Kevin, you sent me something.
Oh, it was just an answer to your question.
Oh, I got lucky today. I had how many? 44 stops in my hometown. You made a lot of money today, didn't you?
Oh no, they give you a certain amount, whatever they give you.
Oh, really?
3.5 hour block for a little less than $100.
Oh,
So the quicker you get it done, better. And I got lucky because it was at home, and I ended up 6 blocks away from my house. My last stop.
Because he was nice enough to write me. Oh, there I go. I'm going to sneeze again. He was nice enough to write me. Well, hold on a second. He was nice enough to, where were we? He was nice enough to write me tonight and say, I might not be able to make it. And I went,
because it's Thursday, and I know how Thursdays are.
I went, that's kind of nice,
I'll keep that in mind.
Ooh, you're way overmodulated.
Yeah, turn your
Cut
mic
it
down. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and so it was very nice of you. I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. I've been thinking about our situation, our national situation that we have. And do you realize we don't have a president? Now, let me explain this. You could say, oh, he's an asshole, and yeah, we don't have a president. Wish we had a decent human being, and so on. But no, you get a guy, he's a president, and then he takes care of business. He does this, he does that, and whatever. This president only does things which fit into his former professions. For instance, everything is a business deal. This trip to Alaska is a business deal.
yeah.
And he talks about it in business deal terms. And then when he isn't doing a business deal, he's in show business. He's doing, he's going to host the Kennedys, or it isn't the Kennedy Center anymore. It's the Melania Center Honors. Yeah, exactly. So all this stuff he's not. What's he doing that's presidential? What's he getting done that's presidential?
Did you hear him whining about not ever being given that Kennedy Center Award and everything else? They never gave me one. Well, maybe next year I'll give myself one now. The guy is out of his mind.
Well, I love how he's going around trying to talk the Nobel people into giving him Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh yeah, he's got his question plants in the wherever he does his interviews or his conferences, and there's always one or two guys that are always there, and they ask the questions that he loves.
Wow,
I bet he does that on purpose.
Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, why do you think all of a sudden the press corps included people who do podcasts?
And that's what it said on a couple of them when they did, they did the shot, and they said this guy's from so and so. said podcaster. I'm going,
Yeah.
what the fuck is he doing there?
I understand today your governor out in California gave a pretty good speech.
He did.
I didn't see it. Would
I
you
didn't
tell us
see
a
it
little
either.
bit about it?
Tom saw it, did you?
No,
I
actually, I
didn't see
haven't seen it. It's on YouTube. When I came on the YouTube, I noticed it. I
Yeah,
heard
it's
about it, but I want to see it. But it turns out
He
that
called him out.
while he was doing this, well, maybe we should just say what he was doing. He's actually going to go ahead and do this ballot initiative to put to redistrict California in response to Texas.
So that it will actually even out what Texas is doing, and maybe even more so.
Counteract what Texas is doing.
Even
In fact,
more
Called
so.
him out.
He
poked the bear.
Let me see if I
Yeah.
can.
Which bear?
The,
There are several bears now.
Does anybody want to bet that when we do it in California, Texas will add more, another Republican state will add more? This will turn into a.
It could happen that way.
It's called the Election Rigging Response Act in California.
I love it. That's great. I've never heard that. That's great.
And that's what it basically is. It's a response to Texas.
That's great.
And if other states do it, at least we're not going to sit down. In fact, it was sort of interesting. I think it was Deuce himself. I'm quoted to say, "It's time to wake up, America." And
Said
the
it
first
several
thing that
times.
popped into my mind is years ago, a friend of mine had an Abby Hoffman album, and the title I don't
It was
remember.
Wake Up
Remember?
America. Wake Up
It was
America.
"Wake Up America" was the title of his album. And it was a very funny album too, but it was just like
I don't
yeah,
remember.
Wake Up America.
I did have the album, and I did listen to it a little bit, but I felt in those days I really didn't need to listen to Abby Hoffman on a recording when I could just get on my phone and talk to him. You know?
That's true too, but
Yeah.
I couldn't. So, but it was really. That was the first thing that popped in my mind. "Wake Up, America."
I'm trying to remember what label that was on.
I don't know. The band that was had playing was called themselves the Joint Chiefs of Staff. But anyway, getting back to Newsom.
Yeah.
So it turns out that while he was making this, presentation in Los Angeles, Christy Nome gathered up all these ICE agents on in front of the building.
Yep.
And they said, well, we got word that there might be bad illegal aliens there, so that we sent ICE there. It's just totally to intimidate.
It's because Jose Padilla was there.
Oh yes, yes.
Well, do you know that yesterday
That's what J.D. Vance
they
called him.
arrested? They finally let him go, but they arrested a Latino 14-year-old who
15-year-old in a wheelchair.
in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I mean, what is
Getting out of hand.
this is out of hand. It's absolutely out of hand. I mean, isn't this kind of a country you used to hear about that they used to have in like third world nations, and you had the you had the police and everything, the special police who just come arrest you for no reason at all. It's like living in Russia actually now.
How about Hitler?
Huh?
Yeah.
Hitler did that kind of stuff.
Oh, Hitler!
Yeah.
I got to tell you, after living through this, Hitler's getting to look better to me.
Actually, I think Trump is more like Mussolini than Hitler.
I agree.
That's a
He
good
looks like
comparison.
Mussolini too. He
Yeah,
ta-
but,
he has the
very.
yeah, he has the Mussolini stance and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think to call him Mussolini is perhaps a better description than Hitler.
Good.
Putin's the Hitler.
Huh?
Putin is the Hitler.
Putin is, what is Putin? He's not Stalin. I mean, Stalin was pretty terrible, but for entirely different reasons. So I don't know. All these guys, they're crazy. They're nuts. But I love what's happening with South Park, because turns out they had something like, I don't know, 6 million viewers in the first 3 days of last week.
Wow.
So this show that Trump says nobody watches anymore, and you know, that is has been, apparently it's come back pretty heavy. You know, this is what, 25 years, something like that, for how many years? Echo, how many years has South Park been on?
It was 97, wasn't it?
Let's see.
Yeah, probably close to 30.
It's
Yeah.
since there are 330 episodes, 1997. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Just shut up now. Thank you. Let's see. Yeah, 333. Yeah. But you know, since 1997. So I mean, what do we got? We got 28 years. That's it. Now there are a couple of years they weren't on. They haven't been on for about 2 years until now. Thank God they finally made that deal with CBS. And by the way, the current owners of CBS said they're very happy with South Park. They don't intend to get rid of it at all. You know.
Yeah, they have a contract.
Well, plus in this deal that they made with CBS, they sold them every episode, so they would be exclusive on Paramount Plus. So that was part of the deal. And so if you want to watch South Park, you got to have Paramount Plus. You know, it used to be, for a while it was on HBO, I think. For, you know, you could go back to the first episode ever. But I think they've really turned out to be pretty good. Pretty good. So is there anything new you're doing creatively, Mark?
Just my photography. That's it.
That's it, huh? Yeah. Every now and then I see your photos, and they're really nice. They're really nice. Yeah. So.
But I am like trying to relearn how to reuse all the graphics software that I haven't used in years, and it's all changed now dramatically to the point where I'm like, wow. I knew it was going to be a learning curve, not like, oh yeah, all computers are fast now. You know, it's like, so all the tricks and completely different workflows now.
Well,
I've been, and I think I told this to you, I've been diving into an aspect of AI because I see the comedic potential.
Mm-hmm.
And there is some very funny stuff out there on YouTube, Alex. Very funny.
I know, and I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, this is so.
But you have to buy the programs. Nope.
There's some very smart people out there who are figuring out how to run this stuff locally on your computer.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, that's the learning curve, because I was never a coder or a programmer, but boy, now I got to learn something. So, but yeah, there's ways you can do this stuff without having to pay money or, you know.
Well, would you please write me and let me know where I can go find that stuff? Because I've been thinking about paying for AI voice so that I can do all my promos here using the existing voices I already have. And you know, then having it read text, you know, and I can clone the voices. I could clone Rob Alfano's voice. I could clone my voice, and then do that. And I've often made a big deal out of it, and you know, kind of, where is it? I'm trying to remember where I have it. Oh, here it is. Okay, wait a minute. Let me make sure. Yeah, that's on, so you can hear it. But this is an AI voice. Just, okay.
Now in its 11th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
That's just a, that's an AI voice.
Or,
huh?
The thing, I mean, I want to get to the point where I could take an old picture of you and take a voice sample and what they can do now, it looks so natural. They're improving this in leaps and bounds in a way that even I'm like, I could, it used to be, it's like, yeah, I can tell it's AI, but now it's getting to that point where, okay, this is really Black Mirror kind of stuff here.
On the first episode this year of South Park, the whole thing with Trump going through the desert and taking his clothes off was all AI, and that's what you can do with it.
Trey and Matt were into AI even going back to the first COVID lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
And the stuff they did with Trump was so surreal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they said that, back then they were investing heavily into this technology.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's AI. I thought it was an actor that was like, looked like Donald Trump. And it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. But now it's gotten to the point where with a little know-how, you could do some very interesting things.
Could Donald Trump make a point that, hey, you don't have the right to use my likeness like that? I mean,
he's a public figure.
He's a public figure, but he doesn't know that. He'll sue anyway. It's funny, but in case people don't know, politicians like Trump cannot sue you for a parody you might do or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And yet, Donald Trump will sue you anyway. And when he sues you, you got to go get a lawyer to defend you and to say, hey, you can't sue my client. But after it's all through, I've spent $500,000 and Trump has really made you go broke. Okay? So that's the part that happens. And you don't get money back from him or anything like that. So, but I mean, I don't know when he's going to finally do something about South Park, but he's got to be livid over this. And then who was it, Kristi Noem last week? Shooting puppies and kitties? And the very end of the show, over the credits, was her in a pet store, and all you hear are shots going off and cats screaming and dogs barking. And, if you didn't see the last episode and you didn't stick around for the credits, stick around for the credits. In fact, I think it's on YouTube. I think they allowed that much to be on YouTube. So that's terrific. Yes, what were you going to say? Were you going to say something, Kevin?
Oh, no, I just said yeah.
Oh, I thought you were getting ready to say something. Let me see here. What else? What else is happening? I'm trying to think. So anyway, we had Newsom, and I've got to listen to that speech he gave today. Marjorie watched it and said it was sensational.
Right here.
I don't know if this is like his first, a trip into doing or being a presidential candidate, but
Well, it's a big risk. It's a big risk because you've got to get it on the ballot, and you've got to get the California voters to approve it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a big sell,
Yeah.
Because the commission, the redistricting commission, actually has been very popular. And who was originally conceived by was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, really?
In fact, I got a telephone poll. When I took it, it turned out I realized it was a push poll by the Schwarzenegger people for that proposal of a nonpartisan, independent redistricting commission.
Yeah.
So if he could get Schwarzenegger on his side, which right now it doesn't look like it. Schwarzenegger is so, holding on. He loves this thing so much he won't abandon it. But if Newsom could just convince Schwarzenegger, hey, we got to do this to really save our democracy.
Well, I think
he could.
I think that
I hope so.
I think that if
really
Schwarzenegger were asked, he would go along with helping. because Schwarzenegger, I don't think likes what Trump is doing at all.
He does not.
Doesn't.
I've seen
He's
many of
been
them.
very vocal against Trump.
Yeah.
Very vocal.
Of course, I don't think Stallone has been. That's why he's getting an award at the.
He's not woke.
At the Melania Center Honors. Have you just everything he does? I notice has more gold than him in his office. Have you seen Putin's office?
No, I haven't. He's
The
got
hallways
gold.
are-
Well,
Everything else.
I saw him coming from another room, and that room you almost had to put sunglasses on while you were watching TV. It had so much gold. Do you think that's where he got his idea, or he just liked gold from the beginning?
Oh, Trump loves gold. Trump has always loved gold.
Yeah. Anyway, so he what he's done to the White House is it's criminal.
Yeah.
I mean, we probably should have had laws against doing that to the White House. That you could redecorate it, put up new curtains, things like that. But I mean, it's disgusting.
I would think all they have to do is make it a national monument, and then they would be able to.
That's
you'd
not a
have to
bad
go
idea.
through. They would. Then they could do what they wanted, but they'd have to go through someone to do it. I mean, that's like any other national monument.
You see what he's done to the West Lawn? Is it the West Lawn or the East Lawn? West Lawn, I think.
The old Rose Garden, yeah.
Rose Garden. He's paved it over. It's like a Joni Mitchell song.
He's fixing it up because he plans to sell it.
What happened to your microphone? It's now blasting.
God, I don't know. Sorry.
I mean, it's really blasting.
Yeah.
I'll fix it.
Yeah. Okay, is it down? No? No?
No.
Are we going to have troubles with you from here on in with being too loud?
I don't think so. I hope not. Let me try and get into the settings.
Get into the settings, please. I don't know what happened there.
I don't either.
Yeah. So, Mark, when you were talking about, I guess you were talking about, programs that you use that you haven't used in a long time, and now you go back to them and you don't know how to use them. I know there were programs I used continually, and then I stopped using them for a while. And I went back to use them, and it was the same thing, unless you use programs all the time and continue to use them all the time, you lose your ability to use them. I mean, it's strange, but it's true. And I hated it. Jeez almighty. I went back a few years ago to some Adobe programs that I hadn't used in a while. And I couldn't get them to work. Something I never could get to work in Adobe was Dreams. What is it? Dreamweaver. Dreamweaver. I mean, it's not as good as a lot of other programs that's supposed to do the same thing.
You remember that was a macro when they merged with Macromedia.
Mm-hmm.
That was a Macromedia product.
Really?
And they changed it because it had its own way of doing things, and then they went over to JavaScript 100%.
Because
if you didn't know anything about JavaScript, you were screwed. You had to learn that from scratch.
I use a program called Quick and Easy Web Builder. It's very good. It's fast. It's good cut and paste. I can operate it. I can make it look good. Here's what happened to me. If you go over to the website, you'll see it's a little different now. Last night I went to go upload some stuff, and I had it turned off, so I turned it on again. And the program, the most recent program that I had there that I had saved, somehow totally disappeared. I don't know what happened to it. It's just one file. And then it just puts everything up that you had. And each time I do it, I go save. And next time I go back, it does whatever I've changed and whatever. All of a sudden, it went away. And all I had was I don't know, one from a year ago. So I had to start using that, and I've been spending all day trying to, regenerate it. I don't know where it's gone. Don't tell me how to do it, Alan, because I've tried everything.
I just want to check my voice.
Oh, your voice is fine.
Okay.
Okay, but you know what I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I went save. I always saved it, and even if I didn't save it, it would still go back to the one from a couple of days ago. It disappeared.
Even Time Machine backup, it wasn't there.
But it wasn't in Time Machine because it was on a drive that I didn't have covering, backing it up. Yeah. I'm probably gonna go to Time Machine and have it back it up. I don't know. I mean, it really bothered me. So, I mean, I couldn't figure out what happened to it. Where'd it go? Did some kind of magical mystery imp come along and remove it? Because a couple of days ago, I remember I did my Monday show, and I did a few things that had to go on there. And then I went save, and it should have just saved it immediately. And I thought, well, maybe it put it somewhere else on my computer. I have checked everywhere else on the computer, on the network, everything, to see if I could find that, and there's nothing. Disappeared. Now, I was thinking of writing the company and say, how does this happen? I mean, how can it possibly happen? But last night, I always do, this stuff always happens before I'm going to go to bed. And so I was up till 2:30 in the morning trying to figure this thing out. And finally, I went to bed. And of course, you sleep really well when you're worried that something's wrong.
Right? Yeah, wrong.
I don't about it.
So that's a perfect example of, I mean, it's the first time I've really had anything go so wrong that I couldn't correct it. So I don't know. I really don't know. So, but anybody else have technical problems at all lately? Yeah.
Obviously, me today here.
Well, that's a simple problem to solve. And Jeff tonight came on perfectly.
Yep.
Now we give him a little wiggle room because he's had, some health problems over the years, which have slowed him down a little, right, Jeff?
That's a nice way of saying.
Well, I'm being nice about it, but
thank you.
How many years ago did you have that stroke?
Oh God, it's almost 50 years ago.
The stroke?
Seems like
50?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
So you were 50?
Yeah.
no, how old were you when you had it?
Oh, I think I was 40 years old.
40 years old. Okay, that would be.
Yeah.
So you're 55 now? Yeah, that makes sense.
How long was it before you could be somewhat, what's the word I'm looking for? Active. Functional.
Okay, I'll tell you what. It took me a full year that I could talk to people at the office.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. Because I wasn't capable of talking at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And functionally. So I had a lady who actually came, I think, 3 days a week or something like that, getting me to teach. And I can't read.
Yeah, that's what you were telling me. You still to this day can't read.
So I could get it audio stuff. But it's even difficult to take the audio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't process the words.
I have a friend, Will Durst, a comedian, who had a stroke. And to this day, it's 5 years now, 6 years maybe. He's still, I think.
Yeah, because it was actually just before the pandemic. I was 2019. It was fall of 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about him here. I used to hear him in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Talk about water and different things. And when I got on your show in 2020, you talked about him being there, and he had a GoFundMe thing, and so I sent some
Yeah, they
money.
still
Well,
do.
we used to have him on every week or so, and he would do these things like I do with Lori and people like that, and Bubs and so on.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he got a stroke. He was doing a show, and he went out to the out to his car, and he collapsed or something, and they had a stroke, and that stroke kept affecting him to this day. He's not, you know, he's I'd say he's maybe 50%.
Is he still in the hospital?
What were
No, no.
Oh, okay.
No, he's in a rehab facility.
I know
I'm
he's
trying
in
to
a
remember. I don't know the last time Debbie.
I think he's still.
You
At
know.
I think he's still at the rehab facility.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time she did. She regularly does updates on Caring Bridge,
Yeah.
and that's where she runs the you know the you know the GoFundMe.
Yeah.
So, but he's done some shows. He's done some shows with Willie Brown.
Yeah, but he's done a few, but he's not gotten back to being working regularly or anything like that. And he's still, I think, at the nursing home. So, and I keep trying to call him, but every time I try to call him, he never answers. I mean, it's not me. It's just he's probably not near the phone or something. So, you know, I should try him again. Find out how he's doing, you know. But we hope that
I got a thank you letter when I sent the money from Debbie Durst.
You got a thank you letter.
That's his wife.
Yeah. How much did you send?
250.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I liked him on the radio around here when he was talking about different things. I never saw his comedy skits, but he was always good on the infomercials and stuff. On the radio in the Bay Area.
What, on the infomercial? What infomercials?
He would talk about water and all kinds of different things, conserving water or keeping our water clean.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's a good guy, and I think the world of him. And you know, it just got to me that you know, after 5 years, he made progress, but it wasn't the kind of progress he needed to make, you know. Yeah. And I told him maybe he should just go do a comedy show and do it sitting on a stool. You know, it doesn't hurt to do it that way. And I think that's probably what he's doing now.
I think that is what he's doing, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, it looks like we're starting to run out of time here. This has been kind of a nice, relaxed hour, which I think we only talked minimally about El Presidente. You know, and we can't talk about him enough, can we? I am so sick of talking about him. Oh well, what the hell. Anyway, hey, listen, it's great having you here. Mark, you know, I needn't say it. I just really appreciate you being here when you are here. And come up to New York and come see us or something.
It's in the fall. I have to. I'll tell you more about that later.
Well, okay, would love to see you. You know, and if you need a place to stay, we got a room. You know,
I might take you up on that, Alex.
Yeah. Same holds true for all of you, except maybe for Alan. No.
I knew that was coming.
You know I love to. I kid Alan.
I know.
Okay.
It's okay.
Kevin, thank you so very much for being here tonight and going out of your way to be here after you didn't think you were going to be able to. Jeff,
I got off an hour and a
you.
half earlier. It's good.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Tom Yamaguchi. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. And Alan, thank you. Everybody give a big wave goodbye. I will give a big wave goodbye at you, okay? And bring the camera up. There we go. And there'll be another citizen panel getting together right here in just a few minutes on the intersection with Amy Manuel. I'll see you again tomorrow night. same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. Okay, bye.